Divine Mother, ruler of every heart's desire, love more ancient, bliss eternal, may our hearts soon be merged in thee. Yes, it's she, the Divine Mother, she who made the universe. Yes, it's she, the Divine Mother, ruler of every heart's desire, love more ancient, bliss eternal, may our hearts soon be merged in thee. Love more ancient, bliss eternal, may our hearts soon be merged in thee.
Let's listen to this week's topic from Affirmations for Self-Healing. The topic is peace of mind. Peace of mind is the result not of money in the bank, but of prayer and meditation. The more one contacts God in meditation, the more he feels descending upon him a blanket, as it were, of inner peace, cooling his body, calming his restless impulses, and thrilling his nerves with ever new delight. Peace is like a weightless waterfall, washing away all worries and bestowing a new, glad sense of confidence. Peace of mind is his who knows that God is his only treasury. Now let's affirm together, repeating first in a loud voice, then again in a normal speaking voice, then whispering, then silently, and then once more silently, but trying to let these thoughts deeply be absorbed within in your superconscious mind. So please affirm after me aloud. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. Again, from pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. Now whispering, from pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. Silently, but with deep concentration. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. Once more silently, deeply concentrating at the spiritual eye, feeling these thoughts changing you from within. From pools of inner silence, I sip the sparkling waters of thy peace. Now please pray silently with me. All that I own is thine, Lord. Help me to know thee as the river of peace, running silently beneath the sands of my life's experiences. Om, peace. Amen. Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know us, because we're from out of town, I'm Devi, Nayaswami Devi, and this is Nayaswami Jyotish. And we've just had the most wonderful time with all of you, meeting new friends and spending time with old friends. And we just, again, want to congratulate you on this remarkable weekend and also this center, which we came last time we were here was March 2020, when it was just getting started. And it was like, and this is going to be the temple, and this is going to be the office, and now here it all is. So congratulations to all of you. And so we have a wonderful topic this Sunday from Rays of the One Light by Swamiji. The Eternal Now. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. When will I find God? Many devotees have asked this question because worldly goals require time, usually, for their fulfillment. We imagine it to be a factor on the spiritual path. And so it is, but only because we think it is. God is as much with us now as he ever will be. It is not he who needs to come to us. We need to come to him. And that process of coming is a matter of transforming our self-perception. In the Gospel of St. John, chapter 4, Jesus Christ says, Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest? Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest. There is a practical teaching in these words, apart from their statement that we have God already and have only to realize that truth. Jesus is saying, lift up your eyes and look. To hold the eyes uplifted is the best position for meditation, for the seat of superconsciousness lies at a point midway between the eyebrows, in the frontal lobe of the brain, just behind that point. This point is known also as the Christ Center. By lifting up your eyes and concentrating there, you will find it easier to enter the state of ecstasy. That is why saints in every religion have often been observed during states of deep communion with their eyes uplifted, focused on the inner light, white, as Jesus said, already to harvest. The Bhagavad Gita goes further into this meditative teaching. In the 6th chapter it states, holding the spine firm, the neck and head erect and motionless, let the yogi focus his eyes at the starting point of the nose, the point between the eyebrows. Let not his gaze roam elsewhere. In meditation, tell yourself, I have him already. I am alive forever in the divine light. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Hey, wasn't that fun yesterday? Yeah, it was a great day. I don't know whether I'm seeing joy or relief in all of your faces, but yeah, right. Anyway, it was a wonderful time and really happy that we could all share it together. Well, continuing this fascinating and important topic, I'm going to read one of the most powerful of all These are Whispers from Eternity. These are prayer demands by Yogananda. And this is one of the most powerful ones of all. It's the only one that I know of that he has a little footnote, which I'll read at the end. So listen carefully. Demand for the opening of the spiritual eye to find God in everything. My eyes are enthralled, O Father, with the beauty of earthly flowers, with life's passing scenes, with the sailing, silent clouds. Everywhere, all I see hints at thy hidden presence. Open that eye in me which sees only thee. With that gaze, may I behold thee above, beneath, all around, within and outside me. Teach me in all things to see only thee. Open in me that eye which beholds everywhere thy hidden but ever subtly reigning wonder. And then parenthetical note, this demand especially should be repeated mentally with deep concentration until the prayer thought becomes fixed in your superconsciousness by the conviction born of deep faith. So, straight from Master. This subject of the spiritual eye is really central to the teachings. And we talk about it, of course, some, but it's hard to give everything the true attention that it deserves. But the spiritual eye, that deserves attention. Master said that the fastest way to find God is to keep your energy focused at the spiritual eye. Now that's quite a statement. So if we could do that, we would progress very, very quickly. One time there was a fellow monk that worked with Swami Kriyananda, and this fellow worked in the print shop, and he took this statement of Master's to heart, and he kept his attention focused at his spiritual eye very strongly for 3 days. And then after that, for a period of time, he could no longer feel his body. He had to go to Master and ask Master to release him from this because it was dangerous working in the print shop, not being able. So that focus there lifted him up above bodily consciousness. And if we can, there are many, many ways to do this. It's not just holding our energy there for 3 days at a time, but the more we can bring our energy there to the spiritual eye, the more powerfully the uprising energy will lift us into higher states of consciousness. One time when Swami was relatively new on the spiritual path, he was with Master, and he hadn't had much time to spend with Master individually. And so Master was in Mount Washington up in his rooms, and Swami was there, and a call came. They had big bottles of 5-gallon jugs of water, drinking water, and a call came to bring up a jug to Master up in his kitchen. So Swamiji quickly grabbed that task for himself, hoping that he would see Master. And so he brought it up, and he said he knocked around in the kitchen, making as much noise as he possibly could. Master was in the next room dictating some lessons or a letter. And anyway, Swami was making as much of a commotion as possible, hoping that Master would know that he was there and come and greet him. Well, Master was busy and just went on, and finally Swami decided that that tactic wasn't going to work. And so then he went downstairs, and he got into a mood. And he thought, yeah, I'm just a worker here. Master doesn't give me any attention. I'm just another drone bee working in the ashram here, and I don't even know whether I'm worthwhile at all. You know, that kind of downward spiral that the mind can get into. And then he caught himself and he said, do you like thinking this way? Do you like being in a mood like this? He said, no. And he very powerfully put his mind to the point between the eyebrows, the spiritual eye. Said within 5 minutes he was completely out of that mood. That he immediately saw, well, Master's busy. If he pays attention to those of us who are around him all the time, how is he going to pay attention to the thousands who are coming to him for help? Of course he has to work with them. And anyway, his mood changed completely. There's an exercise kind of building on that we've recommended from time to time. If you find yourself in a negative mood, you want to bring your energy to the point between the eyebrows. You can even, for a short period of time, try this now. I'm not saying you're in a negative mood. Of course you're not. You're listening to us. You can't be. But if you find yourself at other times away from the center, of course it would be, in a negative mood, then do this exercise. Press your finger strongly at the spiritual eye and lift your gaze up. But more than that, try to feel energy there. And then put your hand down. Continue feeling the energy and looking. See if you can see light at that point. And if you want to, you could add a little affirmation, because affirmation, again, brings the energy upward in the spine. But if you can bring your energy to the point between the eyebrows, it will lift you out of any kind of negativity. Negativity is caused by descending energy in the spine and the Sushumna. And if you reverse that flow by this exercise, then your mind will turn positive, your mood will turn positive. Now so the spiritual eye controls that. It controls a number of other things. One of the reasons that we focus there is that physiologically it brings the energy up in the physical nervous system. It brings the energy up to the the prefrontal lobes of the brain. If somebody has never meditated and they take a brain scan and then they teach him to meditate, and within 2 weeks they can see that the prefrontal lobes are not only more active, but have grown in size. And more advanced meditators or longer-term meditators have significantly more active and larger prefrontal lobes because of the energy going there. And conversely, the energy or the blood supply, that's the way they measure it through MRIs, the blood supply going to those more primitive areas of the brain that control anger and fight and flight and those kinds of emotions, they have less energy. And so long-term meditators are calmer, more peaceful, more joyful. You can see, if you look subtly, you can see if a person is a meditator by kind of the energy in the forepart of their brain and by their eyes. This is also the center of joy in the body. And so the more we bring our energy to that point, the more joyful we become. And people often come to Ananda and they see everybody is happy, everybody is friendly, everybody is supportive. And many, many visitors have told us that when they first came, let's say coming to the Expanding Light for a retreat, when they first came and they saw all the happy people around them, they thought people were faking it. You know, of course, they just put on that face for the guests. But after a couple of days, they began to see, no, everybody is happy. Everybody is supportive. Everybody is friendly. That's just the way it is here. Well, why in part it's that way is because we keep bringing our energy to the to the spiritual eye. That's the center of joy, and joy awakens in the body, and along with it, its kind of weaker cousin, happiness, awakens in our consciousness. And so we become happier. So if you're in a mood, a negative mood, or an unhappy space, try to bring your energy to the spiritual eye. We just met a delightful fellow and his wife. He's a doctor in Eastern Oregon, or Eastern Washington, and has a practice. For those of you who know Ananda and Dr. Peter in the clinic, very similar practice up in Eastern Oregon. Washington, thank you. And so he said that when patients come to him and they begin to complain about, being in moods, or especially if they say they're having difficulty sleeping because of turbulent thoughts, he said, they want him to give them medication for it, some sleeping pill. He says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you how to meditate. Now, I, of course, asked him whether it was so poorly written that it put the people to sleep. But he said, no. He said, no, if they will begin to practice meditation, then they will begin to be able to control the state of their consciousness, and much more helpful than just medication. There's a technique I read of a couple of weeks ago. This is being taught to Air Force pilots so that they can, because they have so many details running through their mind, many of them are having trouble sleeping, or till they use this technique. But the technique is, well, let me preface it before I tell you the technique. To a certain point, meditation and sleep are similar. In order to go to sleep, you have to relax. In order to go to sleep, you have to stop the mentation process of the rumbling of the mind. You have to, the breathing naturally deepens. Yogananda called deep sleep counterfeit samadhi. But you get to a certain point, and then, of course, sleep goes into the subconscious, and meditation should go to the superconscious. So, having said that disclaimer, here's the technique for going to sleep. You lay in bed and you deeply relax the body. Do a deep relaxation, which we all know. Then just begin to breathe deeply, slow, deep breaths, and visualize in the forehead a blue scene. What they said to the airline pilots was to visualize being in a blue boat on a blue lake with a blue sky above. So kind of a pure blue scene with not much going. And then repeat to yourself, stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking. So that becomes kind of a mantra, or a reverse affirmation in this case. So after 6 weeks, 95% of the pilots reported that they were able to go to sleep within 2 minutes. So if you're having trouble sleeping, see, bringing the energy up in that way and in a relaxed way, it changes the energy flows in the body. And then the final thing, and then Devi will also speak, the final thing is that this is also the center of will in the body. It's the center of joy, it's the seat of the guru, and it's the center of will in the body. And if you want to accomplish something, bring your energy powerfully to the point between the eyebrows. One time Master was in the desert, 29 Palms, I think it was with Dr. Lewis, and a neighbor had a dog, and the dog would come over and beg, and Master would give him some food once in a while. But he came over, and he was begging for food. And Master said, "Look, doctor, look, he's got his eyebrows furrowed together, begging for food." He said, "Because he's putting out will, trying to get us to feed him." So this also is the center of will in the body. So if you want joy to be able to accomplish anything, bring your energy here. If you want to be joyful and happy, bring your energy here. If you want to find God, bring your energy here. If you want all the other things, let your energy go down. But for those of us who are here, I think we want to bring our energy to the spiritual eye.
That's a wonderful story, isn't it, about the airplane pilots and repeating, "Don't think, don't think." And I was reading recently Swami's wonderful book, Awaken to Superconsciousness. Every chapter in that, I mean, is so profound and rich. But in one chapter, he was saying, there's that famous quote by the French philosopher Descartes, "I think, therefore I am." And Swami just says, this is wrong. Whatever people have thought of this for centuries, this is wrong. Because it's not because we think that we exist, it's because we're conscious that we think. And what meditation does is help us to tune into that state of consciousness that is beyond thinking. And we live in such a complex world. We were driving home from the Yogananda Fest last night, and people were sending us these texts, and I was trying to forward them. And finally, it got so complex, I gave it to Dharma Devi, and she did a few little things, and they were all sent off. But we have to be so aware in this complex world that we live in. And so we're always in the rational mind. But we need to, that's what meditation gives us, the space and the experience of what it is like not to be in the rational mind. And from that state of consciousness, then the more we keep raising our energy and holding it here, the more we go into the state of super consciousness, which is our true potential, to be super consciousness. And just as in that beautiful passage that we read, the eternal now, this is our potential. It isn't something that, oh, well, maybe they'll get there, but I won't get there. But it just, this for each one of us, we've been on a long journey. And the journey, it may have many twists and turns, and the little GPS may take us in a lot of different directions. But, and what is the GPS of our life? It's karma. Oh no, I've got to go over here. But no, that's not the way you're supposed to be going. But the karma takes you in that direction. But the GPS of our higher self is towards awakening and super consciousness. And this comes through a regular practice of meditation, for one thing. And, it's so important for all of us to examine honestly our meditative lives and say and get a step back and say, how can I create a life pattern that is sustainable, that is enduring, that takes us deeper and deeper, never to plateau and say, okay, well, here we go, sit down, meditate, did that, get up, go about your daily life. The time you spent in morning meditation, however long it is the most important time of your whole day, because it will determine the experiences you have throughout the day. And so how do we, all of us, because it's a challenge for every single one of us, how do we find that sustained energy? There was when we were waiting in the little waiting room out there, there's a quote on the wall from Master. And I thought, perfect, whoever put it up there, I kind of think it was Dharna, but whoever put it up there, each tomorrow I will meditate more deeply than today. And so to enter into meditation with a sense of personal challenge, not with a sense of passivity, Now, okay, I know what's going to happen today, another flat meditation. If that's what you think, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you think today we'll meditate, each today will meditate more deeply than yesterday, will you always be able to do it? Of course not. Should you always try? Absolutely. And then one day, little by little, those veils part. We're so charmed. It was like an insight we had in reading Autobiography of a Yogi in the chapter An Experience in Cosmic Consciousness, where Master has just left his guru, against his guru's wishes, Sri Yukteswar, to go out off into the Himalayas to try to find God. And didn't really work out so well. How'd that work out? Not so well. And he came back, and he disobeyed his guru. And instead of Sri Yukteswar kind of being cold and, well, you're back, he just said, oh, you've come, let's have something to eat and we'll walk. But he welcomed him with such open heart and such, you are my child, you can do no wrong. And then the next day, Master's sitting to meditate with his mind very restless. And Sri Yukteswar calls him down and says, Mukunda, come down. And he's trying to meditate. You know the story. I love it. And then he said, Master, and Sri Yukteswar keeps calling. And he said, I'm meditating, Master. He said, I know how you're meditating. Like with your mind like dry leaves in the wind. By the way, we had a good friend who is married to a man who's very you have to be there. No, he's very impersonal and blunt and not always very flattering. And so he was criticizing something about her, and she said, what did you do? Go to the Sri Yukteswar School of Charm? Anyway, so Sri Yukteswar says, I know how you're meditating. Come down. And then what happens? I could ask any one of you, and you could tell me. Master taps him on the chest. Boom! Cosmic consciousness. And we put those two together. We just realized it for the first time recently, that it was when Master's heart was open with devotion because Sri Yukteswar had received him so lovingly. His mind was still a mess. It was restless. But his heart was open. Because his heart was so open, Sri Yukteswar could bring him to cosmic consciousness. So beautiful. So we have to try the best we can, calming the restless mind. But more important is the heart, to keep that love of the Guru open. I read a beautiful quote it was in Swamiji's book, Essence of Self-Realization, quote from Master, where he said, the help of the Guru cannot even be described, because he said it's like trying to make your way forward through quicksand when there is a paved walkway right next to where in the direction you want to go. So that Guru is that paved highway. We try to do it on our own and we're just slogging and our feet get caught. But with the walking with the Guru, we'll get there. So to awaken our own higher potential, to awaken into super consciousness, to find soul freedom, beautiful, beautiful topic that we had yesterday to focus on. We must do our best. We must set our standards high and don't lower the bar. However many times you feel you can't jump over that bar, you keep that bar high, because that's the only way you can mark your own progress. You keep that bar high, but then ultimately you know, Master, I can't do this on my own. This beautiful song of Swami's, What is Love? Surely we, children of this world, could not love by our own powers. Surely we, children of this restless, materialistic world, could not raise our consciousness into super consciousness. But fortunately, we have the support. The more we keep our hearts open to the Guru, no matter what we have done. Sometimes people come to us and they're so burdened by what they've done in the past, and it just simply doesn't matter. Today is a new beginning. Today you start walking the path to God, and you forget what's gone behind, and you say, I am in this for a lifetime. Nayaswami Jaya, who's a dear friend and a very close associate and a great devotee, he said, when I first came to Master's path, I didn't know how far I could go. I didn't know what I was capable of, but I made a promise to Master, this life is for you. And at this point, it shows. He's a radiant, illumined being. So I encourage each one of you, make a commitment. Promise yourself and God, I will try. I will try the best of which I am capable. And if I fail, so be it. But I will die trying. And I will never give up, as Master said, I will never give up, in a letter to a devotee, I will never give up my job about you. He never will. That's his promise. He will be there for us. Even if we turn our back on him, he won't turn his back on us. So in this weekend of Yogananda Fest, let's have a festival in our hearts, a celebration that Master has found us, and he has brought us to his feet, and he is guiding our lives to the bliss that he knows and that he wants us to know with all that he is. We are his children. And I'll just close with a dream that a woman at Ananda had a few years ago, but she told during Swami's lifetime. And she told him, and he said, that was a true superconscious dream. And in the dream, there were many people in small groups gathered on a hillside at Ananda village, and they were all holding hands in a circle, chanting. And Swamiji was there, kind of presiding. And interestingly, he had the garments on of like a Hebrew priest. They had these breastplates with the 9 gems, like we have on our bangles, according to the Indian tradition. And he was presiding. And as everyone held hands, chanting, from time to time, someone would raise their hands, one person in a circle, and they would be liberated. And there wasn't any sense of competition, like who's better than who. That's such a useless attitude on the spiritual path. He can't tell. But everyone knew that their time would come. And one by one, each one raised their hands and they found God. And so our time will come. Just keep trying. Give God your love, make your best effort, serve. I maybe don't need to tell you guys that, but it's so important. And at the end, Master will be there, touching us on the chest, even if our thoughts are restless, and we will have that experience of oneness with everything. God bless you.
Before to sing, I want really from my heart to say to each of you, congratulations. Congratulations for all you do. You are the future of the spirituality for the world. Our world suffers a lot, and all what you do is extremely adapted to our world. You are the future of the spirituality. Ooh.